world, and welcome back to Film is Life, your #1 source for everything film, entertainment, news, reviews, and more. I'm Simone.
And I'm Lilton.
And we are here with the segments of movie reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry. Yeah, Hardcore Henry is an independent film that was started off of an Indiegogo campaign that was also based off of another small POV short by a Russian director. I can't remember how to pronounce his name right now, but this is also produced and starring Sharlto Copley and Tim Roth, very briefly or whatnot. A little bit about the film. It's about a guy who had a major bad accident, and basically they give him mechanical body parts and make him to be a super soldier, and basically he's trying to save his wife and get her back from these super crazy scientists or whatnot. So what did you think, first impressions of Hardcore Henry?
First impressions, I think it was really, really awesome. I love the creativity of them shooting the film all on GoPro and all of it from it being from a POV. There was a lot of action. There were great fight sequences, great stunts. And there were a couple of amazing twists and turns, which normally he can tell you. I'm the person who, like, I'm paying attention to every single detail. And, you know, before something happens, I'm like, this is going to happen. This is about to happen. Blah, blah, blah. One of them, I caught on to it, you know, like right before it was revealed. And the other one, like, it completely, like, went over my head. I was like, are you serious? Like, that was pretty awesome that they threw that in there. It kind of keeps you guessing about what's really happening with it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a great action sci-fi film. You know, kind of like, you know, popcorn, kick-ass, shoe bubblegum type of movie and everything, with great choreography, great shots. Everything that was done on here with the GoPros, the way they utilized them was amazing. This movie could have went one or two ways. It could have been totally just gone wrong, or it could have been, you know, one of the best shot movies in a long time based off of their limitations of what they did. So I really applaud their efforts with the GoPro and how they shot it and everything, because I didn't get motion sickness in it. It didn't come off as too much shaky cam. It was kind of there, it was kind of present, but you kind of got to expect that a little bit, because if you're that person and things are going crazy like they were for Henry, you know, things get shooken up a bit. So it's a little bit forgiving for some parts. Some parts were kind of hard to understand or whatnot, but for the most part, I really, really enjoyed this setup. The same things that she was talking about with the twists and the turns, they both got me. There's two big twists in this movie that just totally, like, I was caught off guard by both of them. She did catch on to one of them a little bit before it got revealed, and then even after she caught on, I was still trying to catch on, and I was like, wow, you know, okay, they handled that situation well. By far, as far as the things that I really, really liked, the biggest thing I liked about this was Sharlto Copley is Jimmy. His character and the way they utilized him in here. I'm not going to spoil it of what they did with him. His character, by far, to me, was the most entertaining part, because we're on the ride, technically, with him as our chauffeur. You know what I mean? And it was utilized perfectly, and he kept everything interesting outside of the action. So when there wasn't action happening and people wasn't getting shot the hell up, you had Jimmy there making everything else interesting for the parts where nobody was shooting at, which I thought was great back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with that. Like, he was amazing in it. Like, he kept you entertained. He kept you guessing, you know, what was going to happen next, or, you know, when he was coming and everything. But one of my favorite things about it was, I have to give a round of applause to the stuntmen in this movie, because it wasn't actually an actor who was playing Henry. This was a variation of stuntmen, and the things that they pull off in this film are nothing short of amazing. Like, so many times I was like, whoa, like, oh my God, like, are you serious? Like, you know, like, there's like a guy who was sitting next to me, and like, he's a grown man, and he was like, ooh, ooh, like, he was doing this, like, he was like getting scared in his chair. He jumped like a couple times, because I mean, like, the things that they were doing, like, it was crazy.
I don't know how they could, because I would have been, you know, crapping my pants and everything. They probably would have had to get somebody else to do it. I would have got fired, because I just wouldn't have done anything. But yeah, it was incredible how they did that.
I actually would have had fun with it, because I'm kind of daring and everything like that. So I like bucket list. I want to skydive. I want to, you know, scuba dive. I want to hang glide. Like, you know, some things.
She wants to live life on the edge.
Yeah, it's right up my alley.
Yeah, well, for me, there isn't much to not like about this film, you know, and I'm nitpicking here, and I guess this is because I kind of had a little bit of background on the film, but the film was a lot longer than what it was. It was supposed to be like 2 hours long originally, and they kind of just took out all of the parts where there wasn't a whole lot of action happening, and you can tell that it's really jump cut together. They're jumping from scene to scene to scene. It's very, very fast cutting pace, and at certain times you're just kind of like, wow, man, let's hold on to this moment for a little bit, and then boom, you're right back into action, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But for the story purposes, like I said earlier, of where they took this and the twists and everything, it would have been cool just to have a little bit more of story, because to have as epic of a, you know, conclusion as they did with this, knowing a little bit more about Henry possibly, or about the situation with his wife, would have made it like even more, you know, like, oh yeah, like a perfect film all the way across, because then you could have had all this action, you could have had all this, you know, suspense and everything, and then a little bit more heart or an emotion in it, because they played with it a bit, you know what I mean? They kind of, the way they started the movie off, and then the way it kind of ended and everything, Tim Roth character and everything is the part that I'm really talking about, of his character development with Henry is something that I kind of wanted to visit a little bit more, because the stuff that he was talking about was kind of like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, those are powerful words for him to say to Henry and everything. So I don't know if that's part of the stuff that they took out, trying to cut the movie down, but that's my only gripe with this. Otherwise, people, hardcore Henry, you need to go see it. It's a groundbreaking cinema film, and everybody needs to be a part of it in the sense of what they accomplished here when they would set out to make this movie.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with what you're saying, and especially since, I'm going to say this without giving away too much, Henry is not the only person of his kind. You know, I'll pretty much say that, obviously, because they had to be, you know, testing something or somebody for them to even be able to get to the point for them to create him in the way that they did. But for them to, if they had done this story and done it this way with one of the other people like him, it would have made sense.
So with all that being said, what do you give Hardcore Henry?
I would give Hardcore Henry a 4.5. I actually really loved it. I love the action. I love the creativity of it. Like I said, the stunts were amazing. It made you really feel like that you were doing these things. You felt like you were him, like you were actually in danger, like you actually were inside of it. Yeah, it's not like a horrible thing, and I am kind of being like a little bit nitpicky, just like he said. You know, at times for me, the shaky cam was a little bit too much. I mean, obviously it's going to be in there because this is a POV film, but at times it was so shaky that I couldn't really make out what was happening, especially like in certain scenes that were like a little bit darker visually, and then to have it be kind of dark and then have it be shaken all over the place, it made it a little bit harder for me to follow at those points.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it the same rating. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I really, really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a great action sci-fi adventure movie, you know, kind of just shoot bubblegum, pop popcorn, you know, enjoy the ride type of feel. And when you add a great character actor like Sharlto Copley, and then you add what the stunt people were able to do and everything that they did, this is definitely a movie that's going to change a lot of filmmaking. It may not be the best technical right now, but for what they did and what they were able to accomplish, it's going to set the tone. Somebody's going to come along later on and probably perfect it more, and then we're going to be in another situation like we were with The Matrix. This is kind of like the camera shooting version of The Matrix. What they did with that, it set the tone. It was groundbreaking. Everybody should go see this movie in the theaters. This is not something that you know, get on video on demand, or you wait until Netflix. Go see this in the theater. It is an event.
Right.
So what about you folks? Do you plan on seeing Hardcore Henry, or have you seen Hardcore Henry? Let us know with your comments and reviews in the comments below. And if you haven't done so already, please like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel. And where else can they find us at?
As always, you guys can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at FilmIsLifeVideo. And you can comment on there as well.
And that'll do it for us. 3, 2, 1, wrap.